What's up, everybody? Let's wait for the fam to pile in. We're a little off schedule today. There are people are coming in. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna give you all a little update, and then we're gonna talk about the stars. I have a window of very subtle pain right now. So we're gonna do the week ahead astro because mama didn't raise no biatch. How are you guys doing? We're gonna wait for people to come in. So for those of you guys that haven't seen my story, I'm having really bad tooth pain right now. It's right now at this very moment, it's like coming and going. Someone said, "Can you let me know your next availability for reading after you finish live?" You could go on my link tree and check my calendar, and you can book there, and that's where you'll be able to see my availability. I may have one slot this week open. I'm not sure, but I know that since I've been doing a Gemini season special, um, I've been pretty booked, and I know that I might be booked out for the next 2 weeks. But yeah, go on my link tree, click on book appointment, and oh, next one is June 19th. Yeah, I feel like yeah. If there's anything earlier, I'll reach out to you and I'll let you know. But yeah, I'm booked and busy right now. Okay, we have a lot to talk about. But yeah, so anyways, like I was saying, um, I've had chronic tooth pain for the last like week and a half, almost 2 weeks now, actually. I thought it was gonna go away, but Saturn decided no. Saturn said, no, you shall suffer and you shall get dental work. That's what Saturn said. Saturn is in my second house right now, directly opposite my eighth house Mars. And to be honest with you guys, my little Jesus fell. I'm just picking up my little Jesus. To be honest with you guys, I'm a little disappointed in myself. I'm trying to give myself grace because this is a transit that I saw coming, and I should have known better because when Saturn was transiting my rising sign or my ascendant a year and a half ago in Pisces, was it? Yeah, it was like the end of 2024, going into 2025. When Saturn was transiting my rising sign, I had to get dental work also at that time. I ended up having a cracked tooth, and then I had to get, I'm waving at people as they're coming in. I had to get one of my teeth pulled. Saturn rules the teeth, the second house rules the mouth. So I'm a Pisces rising, so Saturn's in my second house now in Aries, directly opposite to the degree, 12 degrees, my eighth house Mars in Libra. And literally, as that transit was perfecting, as the Saturn was going into an exact opposition with my Mars, is when the tooth pain started. And it started in very Saturnian fashion. It started as like a dull ache. There was never no like moment of like crisis where like I bit something and like it hurt. I was eating corn nuts, so I do think it happened after I had some corn nuts like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. But there was no like moment of crisis or moment of like sudden pain. It just was like a slow pain that came on, and it just has slowly intensified over the last 2 weeks. And now it's to the point where like the last 2 nights I couldn't sleep. Like that's how bad it was, you know? I kept waking up like every like hour or so. Yeah, I'm never messing with corn nuts ever again in my life. I don't even know why I bought corn nuts. I was just like, ooh, Cool Ranch corn nuts. Me and my friend were out at the liquor store. We were about to go hiking, and I was like, ooh, let me get some Corn Ranch corn. It's like chewing on teeth. It is. And you know what? I think the pack that I bought was actually like stale. Like it wasn't like a fresh pack. So the corn nuts were extra hard because I was like, these corn nuts should not be this stiff. Like I don't remember the corn nuts being this stiff, but they were like extra hard, and I think it was because that pack maybe had been like laying around for a while or something. I don't know. Could be all my imagination, but here we are. So I'm going to get a root canal tomorrow in the morning, and I may need two root canals. I'm glad that I didn't take the advice of the dentist I went to yesterday, who was not my dentist. It was just like an emergency dentist. He was over here saying that he was like, I think we're gonna have to pull this tooth, and he didn't even know which tooth. He didn't even know which tooth it was. Like he couldn't figure out which tooth was causing me the pain. And I was like, I do not trust your judgment. So I was like, I'm just gonna go to my dentist. Thinking to myself, I was like, I'm just gonna go to my dentist tomorrow and get a second opinion on this. And I'm so glad that I did because my dentist today, he was just like amazing, and he did a whole bunch of tests to figure out which tooth it was, and he took some really detailed X-rays to really figure out what was going on. So if you ever get medical advice and your like intuition or your instinct is like, hey, this is like off, or I don't know, something is off about this, trust that judgment. We tend to give too much, we tend to give too much faith to people that we expect to be experts. Like you expect a doctor to be an expert. You expect a dentist to be an expert. But a lot of the doctors and dentists of today have no idea what they're doing. I really feel like a lot of dentists and doctors today they just got into the profession for the money, not actually because they care about people and want to help people, or not actually because they're good at their craft, or, like it runs in the family. Like that's one of the things that's so cool about this dentist that I go to. He's a third generation dentist. So his dad was a dentist and his grandfather was a dentist. So this man, not only does he have his lifetime experience in dentistry, he also has the accumulated lifetime experience of his forefathers in dentistry. So he's just like amazing. And I firmly believe this. And you can see this in astrology too. Astrology shows us this as well, where people have inherited gifts or talents that they're naturally good at that they inherit through their ancestors. So, and if you're a parent, you should think about this, because if you're a parent and you want your child to be talented or gifted, you should work on developing those talents or those gifts, even if you're like mediocre at it, a little bit before you have the child. Because then when the child is born, they're going to be born with the potential of that gift, and they're going to be able to take it like 10 times farther. Like I have a client who, um, let me see, hold on. I have a client who their father was like a music producer, and now they are taking it to the next level. Like they're doing like full-blown musical career, very successful, very ambitious. Like they're taking their dad's music producer wisdom and knowledge and expertise to the next level, because this person literally inherited their father's musical talent, and you can see it in the chart. It's crazy, but that's how it happens, like quite literally. And we can see this in astrology. Like if your parents were doctors and your parents' parents were doctors, you're gonna have that in your gene, like in your genes. You're gonna have that in your like, in the potential of your bloodline. Like it's gonna be in your body. Like those things, like being a doctor, will come natural to you. Going to medical school will come natural to you, because it's in your lineage. You may not like it, you may not enjoy it, but you may be good at it or talented at it, because we inherit gifts and talents through our lineage, you know? I feel like I inherited my dad's theatric nature. Yeah. So my dad is a big personality. My dad's like the center of attention. He's funny. My dad is like very charismatic. And my dad is a very funny, confident, bright guy. My dad has a lot of he's super social. He likes to talk to people. He's got the gift of the gab. He talks to anybody. He got that from his grandma, and I got that from him. Because I did not get my personality from my mom. I love my mom dearly. If she's here, I love you dearly, beautiful woman. But I hate to say it, I did not get my personality from you. My mom's a Virgo sun and a Capricorn moon. I did not get her personality, okay? I definitely got my dad's personality. Yeah, and my dad's very performative, and I have that energy as well. Like, I like to perform, I like to be on stage, I like to be seen, I like to be the center of attention. Like, I don't mind that. And I definitely got it from my dad. But anyways, we have a lot to talk about. Sorry, when it comes to astrology, we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to talk about. And I want to debunk some of this Jupiter Venus talk, and I want to give you guys the reality of what Jupiter and Venus is about. Okay? Because we have this beautiful it is beautiful though. We have a Jupiter Venus conjunction. If you have no clouds in the sky and you're able to go out tonight or tomorrow night or even the following night and look in the sky around evening time, just after the sun sets, or maybe like 30 minutes after the sun sets, if you look to the eastern horizon, you'll be able to see Jupiter and Venus in the sky. So quite literally, you'll be able to see them. They're beautiful in the sky right now, twinkling like diamonds. Venus, as an evening star, she always twinkles like a diamond. Jupiter, not so much. When he's retrograde, though, he twinkles like a diamond. He's very, very shiny. So planets that are retrograde actually shine brighter because they look closer to us. So I want you guys to pay attention to that. When a planet goes retrograde, look in the sky and look at it, and you'll notice that it's actually brighter. Um, but this Jupiter-Venus conjunction is very auspicious, very positive, very lucky, very benevolent. I actually got a message from a client yesterday. I might post on my stories, who said that they got engaged. One of my clients, it was actually predicted it. She's like, "Oh my God, you were right. I got engaged, just like you predicted." And that's what Jupiter Venus is about. Venus is the wife and Jupiter is the husband. Jupiter is the great progenitor. Jupiter is the bringer of blessings. He's got many moons. So the planet Jupiter had many wives, had many moons. So Jupiter has a lot to do with growth and expansion and progeny, procreation, the birthing of things, especially in Cancer. He's exalted in Cancer, right? So, oh yeah, also Anna right here. Yeah, I told her that she'd be getting engaged, and listen, I can predict babies super well, like pregnancy and babies. I predict that like all day, every day. I have a client that I've been working with for the last 3 years, and I was telling her, I was like, my love, this is the window that even from 2 years ago, I was like, you're gonna have to be patient because the window of time is not gonna be for a few years. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't try. That doesn't mean you shouldn't try. But what I will tell you is that around this time, if you do get pregnant, the baby's gonna stay. The baby's gonna stay. And sure enough, she ended up pregnant within the 2 week time frame that I told her that she'd be getting pregnant. But it was a rough road because there was about a year and a half, 2 years of me doing readings for her where the primary objective was pregnancy, where the baby wasn't coming. And I had to just coach her through it and tell her, you guys just got to be patient. One of the things I've learned when it comes to timing of events and when it comes to like serendipitous things that are like like meeting your soulmate, meeting your lover, meeting your husband, meeting your wife, getting pregnant, having a baby. When it comes to those things are really divinely ordained, and those things are really connected to divine timing. And that's one of the beautiful things that astrology can do. One of the gifts of astrology is being able to time pretty accurately serendipitous events or experiences or occurrences, like getting engaged or getting pregnant or meeting like a lover or spouse or like getting a job. These are all things that are very much beyond our control a lot of times. And they're subject to kind of like fate and destiny, these things. But things happen when they're meant to happen, always when they're meant to happen. And I think the gift of astrology that I've been able to give a lot of my clients is giving them confidence in the timing of things and helping them in being patient, and waiting for the correct timing of when this thing is going to manifest. So, anyways, with Jupiter, Venus together in Cancer, this is literally the energy of, you know, the sperm meeting the egg, you know? This is the energy of, Jupiter, the progenitor, the giver of blessings and abundance, the Santa Claus of the planets. Jupiter is literally the archetype of Santa Claus. And we celebrate Christmas in the season of what? Sagittarius, right? Well, actually going into Capricorn, but the real celebration and the experience and the joy of Christmas is actually Sagittarius. Jupiter, a Jupiter ruled season, right? We bring the joy and the abundance and the love of Jupiter into the wintertime with us in Sag season with Christmas. So if you think about Jupiter being the giver of blessings and all good things, Santa Claus, who literally gifts you gifts for being good, for being a good person, right? Um, is connected to Jupiter. So if we think of Jupiter and Venus come, and then Venus, she's the lesser benefic. So Venus, she's the great equalizer. She brings peace, she brings harmony. She also brings goods and abundance, though. So Venus, she's very much connected to the abundance of the material world, right? And also the social world. So with Jupiter, Venus together in Cancer, you know, this is about material expansion, you know. So buying new things, getting gifted things, possibly getting a new car. Also because it's Jupiter, Venus, and Cancer, like buying a home or moving or relocating or property, real estate stuff coming up. Um, but also because Venus is a social planet through Libra, this is about divine union, So best friends, meeting a best friend, marrying someone, getting engaged, forming a business partnership with someone, getting into some kind of collaboration with a friend or with a community or something like this, right? Jupiter, Venus. Um, so this is also a social activation, Jupiter, Venus. Like who you meet at this time can be very divinely aligned, okay, with your growth, or your abundance, or the luck, or whatever Jupiter wants to bring you, right? Whatever Jupiter and Venus want to bring you. The thing that we got to remember though is that every Jupiter and Venus, depending on your rising sign and depending on the way your chart is, Jupiter and Venus are not bringers of benevolence and joy and good things for everybody. And every planet, depending on your rising sign and the planets, which houses they rule, is going to tell you whether or not this Jupiter Venus conjunction, especially the house that you're having it in, if it's going to be more of an abundance thing, or if it's going to be more of a good positive thing, or if it's going to bring like grace and opportunity and luck and all these good stuff, or if it could bring some kind of endings or some kind of release or some kind of closure. Okay. Because if you have Jupiter Venus conjoining in the eighth house or the 12th house or the fourth house, it's not going to be as well. The fourth would be the best, but eighth house and the 12th house, those are difficult houses. And I literally just did a reading for a client last week who, what's the rising sign? There's Sag rising, yeah, Sag rising, Gemini in the seventh house, Cancer in the eighth. So they have Jupiter in the eighth house, transiting the Jupiter Venus conjunction in the eighth house. And when I was reading their chart and their transits, the Jupiter in the eighth house told me that they had a grandmother or a grandparent, but it's cancer, so it was grandmother, that's sick in the hospital, who's dealing with some kind of infection or some kind of disease, or who's like going through like a near death type of thing. Sure enough, my client told me my mom is literally at the hospital right now with her grandmother. And she's been having these infections and she's getting older and stuff like this. So, depending on what Jupiter and Venus are doing in your chart, where they're at, this may not be something that is auspicious or good, the Jupiter Venus conjunction, right? I have another client, a follower of mine, who's been following me and they've been a client of mine for many years. They messaged me today to let me know that someone in their family off themselves. And I looked at this chart, I glanced at it, they sent me the chart, and this family member had Jupiter Venus on the North Node, on their natal North Node in Cancer. This conjunction of Jupiter Venus. And Venus was the ruler of because they were Libra, was the ruler of their sun in Libra and everything in Libra. Um, but the eighth house away from Libra is what? So if you count 8 houses away from Libra, all you got to think is put, directly opposite of Libra in the seventh house is what? Aries. So what is in the eighth house? Pisces, which is where the North Node is at. And also Jupiter and Venus coming together, the eighth house ruler, the ruler of their sun coming together on the north node, literally this person offing themselves, doing themselves in. So, because the eighth house, Jupiter's ruler of eighth house is death, right? So, you know, when we really start to understand the complexity of astrology, we can understand how two benefic planets like Jupiter and Venus coming together may not always bring blessings and positivity and good things. Because the way Jupiter and Venus are situated in our chart and the stories or the events that are unfolding or what they're kind of how they're moving things in our life isn't necessarily about growth and abundance a lot of times. And it's a lot of times it's about endings and closure and release. And one of the things about the sign of Cancer, right? Let's talk about the sign of Cancer a little bit. And those of you that have Cancer placements, especially if you have your moon or your Mercury or your rising in Cancer, you may relate to this. Cancer is a sign that struggles with mental illness a lot because of the moon. Cancer is ruled by the moon. And if we think about the moon is a very unstable planet. It moves very quickly, it moves very fast. And the moon, because it's so creative and it's so imaginative, it's also very fearful and it also deals with psychological and emotional issues where the mind and the emotional and the emotions can be at war with one another or they can be in disharmony. And so this is why when we think about Cancer, I want you guys to think about the word lunacy. When someone is a lunatic, luna, moon, lunacy, moon. Luna means moon, right? So a lot of times when there is too much Cancer energy, even if we have Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, and Cancer, right? Even though Jupiter, Venus, and Mercury are positive, someone that is experiencing Cancer energy in a very conflicting, emotionally disruptive, psychologically difficult way can experience this concentration of energy and it can trigger them emotionally. It can trigger psychosis, it could trigger emotional issues, it could trigger depression, all this excessive Cancer energy, especially if we don't have a good relationship with our emotional body, right? And this goes for any sign, really. Too much of any sign could be very destructive and very damaging in different ways, you know? And we see that, and I see this with people that have stelliums. I see the incredible, not incredible, that's a kind of a dramatic word, but I see the sometimes uh the excessive concentration of energy and how it kind of uh can really inhibit people in their chart. They feel very unbalanced, like someone that has a full Capricorn stellium and like everything in earth signs, they have no water, no air, no fire in their chart, right? They could be very lethargic, very tired. They can feel very cold all the time. They could be very antisocial. They could be overly worried about money and resources. They could be extremely career oriented to the point of obsession to where, Capricorn stellium, all they think about is work and career. And like all they're doing is like working and, they're avoiding all the other areas of their life because their career and their focus on like ambition, it like takes over everything. The Capricorn stellium literally takes over their entire life. Like you got to succeed, you got to achieve, you got to do your job, responsibility, obligation, like too excessive amount of that Capricorn. A lot of kids that were born in like 90, 91, 92, they have that Capricorn stellium. So, an excessive amount of concentrated energy can be very damaging, right? And so I also want you guys to think about that with this Jupiter Venus conjunction in Cancer with Mercury, right? But, Jupiter and Venus are the bringer of blessings. They're the bringer of, they bring positive, good things. But it really depends on how it's showing up in your chart. So I'm gonna go get my Oracle deck really quick because I pulled a card actually for the Jupiter Venus conjunction and I wanted to talk about it with you guys. I wanted to share it with you guys because I was actually going to share it yesterday, but yeah, I've been dealing with this tooth pain. Someone asked, "How are you doing?" I'm doing really good actually. I'm doing great right now. When I lay down is when the pain gets really bad. So I'm gonna try to figure out how to sleep tonight where I'm like kind of sleeping maybe in a recline. I don't have a recliner, but I'm gonna try to sleep in a reclined position tonight. But yeah, I've taken medication and, I've taken some pain medication that's kind of keeping the pain at bay right now. But it does flare up randomly. I was looking at and it's crazy because I've actually been able to use astrology and look at what's going on with the moon and my transits and also what signs on the rising to time when I'm gonna be getting like bad pain. And it's like on point. Like whenever Mars is rising, whenever Aries, my second house on the rising is when the inflammation kicks in and when the pain starts to surge. It's so crazy, y'all. It's so crazy. Like learn medical astrology or just like you study a little bit of medical astrology. It's fascinating to see just how quickly the planets have an impact on your body. It's insane, actually. It's fascinating. And I've been using astrology to help me figure out this whole thing with my tooth. I should have saw it coming though, and this is one of the things I was saying in the beginning. Um, because I'm a pretty good medical astrologer, I saw this transit coming for myself. I should have known better. And I should have went to the dentist like 3 months ago because I got the download like, dude, your teeth, your teeth, your teeth. Spirit told me like your teeth, bro. You got to go get this done. But I was like, I'll just wait until something happens. And that was not the right choice. Don't wait. Listen, never. If you see Saturn coming for you, deal with things ahead of time. You see them coming for your eighth house, you have unpaid taxes. Get your taxes done early because when Saturn comes, he's going to force you to confront it, and it's probably going to be in a very painful way where he's going to take more than what you originally owed, or he's going to make you suffer more. Okay. And I saw this Saturn Mars opposition coming in my chart. I knew it was coming. And I was like, oh, a little bit of, things, life is getting a little bit more expensive, blah, blah, blah. And I knew it was going to be a health thing. I just didn't know where, but I kind of did. But yeah, I should have just trusted my instinct and I should have just acted on it and I should have just been like, let me just go get this dental stuff done. Dental work is like, so annoying. You know what I mean? It's so, we don't want to have to deal with that, but better now than later. And dealing with having to get a tooth pulled or having to get a root canal or having to deal with a week of pain, you know what I mean? And sleeplessness and stuff. So that's just my word of advice to you guys. But anyways, so Jupiter Venus conjunction in Cancer tomorrow. Very beautiful thing. Um, the people that are going to get the biggest benefit out of it are definitely going to be the water signs and the earth signs. If you're a water sign rising, especially, Jupiter Venus conjunction can really bring something beautiful or positive into your life. The earth signs, this may show up, the Jupiter Venus conjunction can show up in your social life, you know, with friends, neighbors, aunts, uncles, brothers, partners, your spouse. Something good could happen for your spouse. They can get a promotion or get a job or some kind of blessing, or your spouse can gift you something. Jupiter and Venus together, they love to give gifts. It's about gift giving and gift receiving. So if you feel called to give somebody something right now, or if someone gives you something, like really just be open to the exchange, be open to the laws of reciprocity right now with Jupiter and Venus. But yeah, so and then air signs and fire signs, you guys may not, especially if your rising is here, you may not receive as big of a blessing, or things can be a little bit more challenging. But let me go get that oracle card that I pulled for the Jupiter Venus conjunction because I want to talk about it with you guys. I'll be right back. We'll go get it really quick. And then we're gonna keep talking about the astrology of the week, but I think this is so important because this card makes so much sense with the Jupiter Venus conjunction. So the card that I got, it's from this deck called the Wisdom of Oracle deck. I don't know if you guys, I'm gonna show this to my people on YouTube as well. I don't know if you guys have ever used this deck, but this is an amazing Oracle deck. It's one of my favorites. It's like my top three Oracle decks that I use regularly. For myself, sometimes for clients, mostly for myself and for my friends, and when I'm doing like new moon, full moon readings. But the card that I pulled was this one right here, Unfinished Symphony. So this is the card, Symphony. And I want to talk about this card because I think it's super relevant with the Jupiter Venus conjunction. And what this card speaks to unfinished symphony. It speaks to finishing what you've started and seeing the vision all the way through to completion. And the download that I got when I pulled this card about the Jupiter-Venus conjunction is that some of us are super close to the blessing, to meeting the soulmate, to the baby coming, to the house purchase. Like we're very close. We're like almost there, but we don't even know it. We don't even realize it. We don't even know it. We don't even know that it's like just on the other side of the mountain. Like it's just on the other side. It's like just over there. It's like really close. And so what Spirit was telling me is like we gotta stay committed to the manifestations, to the vision, to the dream, and we gotta see things through to completion. Okay. Like that's what the unfinished Tiffany told me. And it kind of makes sense because why? We have Jupiter and Venus at the last degrees of Cancer. Jupiter and Venus are not conjoining at the early degrees of Cancer. Jupiter is conjoining Venus right at the end of Jupiter's cycle. He has one more month left in Cancer before he goes into Leo, right? And Venus is at the last degrees of Cancer, conjoining Venus, going into Leo. So, what this told me as well is that this Jupiter Venus conjunction is also about the releasing or closure of things that are holding us back from expansion and growth. And this is one of the things I want to talk about with Jupiter. Because a lot of times, you know, we're like, oh, Jupiter, he didn't bring me anything good. He didn't bring me a blessing. He didn't bring me anything magical. There's been all this talk on threads about, oh, the Jupiter and Cancer transit wasn't that great. Like Jupiter and Cancer really didn't do much. But I want to talk to you guys about this because there are many people that I know, clients that I have, that really did receive something beautiful from the Jupiter and Cancer transit. They either got a baby, they either bought a house, they got married, something, right? But one of the things we got to be reminded about when it comes to the blessings of Jupiter, you will occasionally get them for free, but you got to reach. You got to reach. Sometimes the Jupiter blessing is on the highest shelf, and you're only looking here. You're only looking at this. Oh, you know, I'm not the which one called the Beanie Baby that I'm looking for. It's like not here. They're all sold out. Little do you know, Jupiter has the special one hiding up there at the very top. And you have to reach. You have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to do something strange. You have to move very far. You have to leave a job and try another thing. You have to change your career. You have to do something where you reach and you put yourself in a whole new environment. You're connecting to new people. You're doing something new. Jupiter, he brings blessings when you expand, when you grow, when you learn, when you put yourself into a space of newness. It gives him the opportunity to give you the miracle and the magic. Many of us are not reaching at all. At all. You go home or you go to work and you come home. You go to work, you come home. You're not adding any serendipitous moments into your life. You're not bringing random opportunity. You're not inviting random opportunity in your life by going out there and meeting people and putting yourself in strange places, in strange spaces, and connecting with teachers and gurus and coaches. These are all Jupiter people. Jupiter people are teachers, gurus, coaches, leaders, like the benevolent people in our life. You're not making an effort to connect with those people that could get you where you need to go. This is why the majority of people, they get absolutely nothing from their Jupiter return or from Jupiter transits. Because Jupiter will tell you it's time to go, it's time to reach, it's time to take the leap of faith, it's time to leave this thing behind for something new. But we get so secure, we get so attached, and we also are afraid of new things. A lot of people, especially those of us that are a little ignorant, we resist new things. We don't like foreign people. We don't like foreign cultures. We eat the same shit day in and day out. We watch the same shows day in and day out. We're listening to the same music day in and day out. We're not reaching, we're not challenging ourselves to expand and grow beyond the confines of our lived experience. So, guess what? Jupiter ain't giving you shit. Jupiter don't give you nothing because you're not reaching, you're not learning, you're not growing, you're not expanding the way that Jupiter is guiding you to. And sometimes to really invite Jupiter's blessings in, you know what you have to do? You have to give. You have to give. Donate your time, donate your clothes, donate your talents, donate your gifts, go volunteer, go help, go support, go do something where you are being of service without expecting anything in return. This is how you put good dharma in the piggy bank, and this is how you build up luck. Listen to me. I'm a ninth house person. I'm very blessed. I'm very lucky. I have Sun, Mercury, Venus in the ninth house. I'm a Jupiter person too. I'm a Pisces rising. I have Jupiter trining my Saturn in Sagittarius. I'm very Jupiterian. You better listen to me because I literally see this manifest in my life daily. I see the magic. I see Jupiter's blessings show up in my life daily. And the more that you give, the more that God, Spirit, the divine, and Jupiter give back. And the reason why very few people, I'm not going to say very few, that's just a generalized number, but the reason why many folks don't receive the blessings and the magic and the growth is because they're not giving and they're not reaching. They're not reaching far enough and they're not giving they're not giving anything of themselves. They're not giving their talents, they're not giving their skills, they're not giving their wisdoms, they're not giving their time. Sometimes the biggest and the greatest and the most simplest gift that you can give someone is your time. Your time, a listening ear. You know what I mean? That's when like psychologists interview kids about what they want from their parents, you know what the one of the number one things they want from their parents is? They want time. They don't want you to buy them shit. They don't want you to treat them and take them out over here. No, they want your time and they want your attention. They want your presence. Such a simple gift. And we overthink things. Oh, I got to give them, I got to buy them this and I got to buy them that. And baby, no, all you got to do is show up and gift your time. It's so simple. It's actually so simple, you know? So with Jupiter and Venus conjoining tomorrow, they're in the sky. My question to you is, how are you reaching? How are you expanding? How are you growing? And how are you inviting opportunities for Jupiter to give you blessings, to give you magic, to give you miracles? This is why, like, when we are in alignment with Jupiter and we are walking by faith, we trust that wherever Jupiter takes us, he's going to go ahead and give us a gift, or there's going to be a beautiful magical thing, or there's going to be somebody that has something for us, you know? And I want you guys to think about that. Sometimes Jupiter transits, they make you uncomfortable to get you to move. Saturn will force you to move. He's not Saturn, the way he works. Saturn's the opposite of Jupiter. He's the antithesis to Jupiter, right? If Jupiter is a great benefic, then Saturn's a great malefic. Saturn, he don't give a shit what you want, what you think. He don't care. He's like, I'm gonna force this upon you. I'm gonna make you struggle through this. I'm gonna make you do this. You're gonna have to endure this, right? Like what I'm going through right now with my tooth. Saturn in my second house opposite Mars. You're gonna have to endure this pain for the consequences of your decision to not go to the dentist and get this figured out earlier. Now I'm gonna make you suffer. Okay, now I'm gonna punish you a little bit. Not Jupiter though. Jupiter, he's like, out here. This is the way out. Here, let me free you. Here, you want to sneak out the back door? Here, you want to run away? Here, I got something. But he's not gonna force you the way Saturn will. Jupiter gives you the opportunity to leave. He gives you the keys in a lucky moment. He opens up the window of escape. He opens up the door of escape, and you gotta jump. You gotta jump now. You gotta take that moment because that Jupiter's opportunities, his magic, his blessings, they come and they go. Jupiter's a very fast moving planet. He moves around the zodiac every year. Or I'm sorry, he changes a sign every year. So, Jupiter, he moves around the zodiac every 12 years. He actually moves very fast. And so when we think about the speed of planets, Moon is pretty fast, Venus is pretty fast, Mercury's pretty fast, and then Jupiter, right? Saturn and Mars are the slowest moving planets in terms of the original seven. Um, these planets, they bring things very quickly, very fast, where the door opens, where the opportunity presents itself, and if you don't take it, if you don't receive it, if you don't say yes, then it's gone a lot of times. I think about it with like a lotto ticket. You know what I mean? Like, you could win a lotto ticket, you could win $1 million, but what if you throw that ticket away? What if you lose it? You know, like, what if you never check it? You buy that lotto ticket, you never check it, you totally forget about it, and that was like the $1 million ticket. This happens to a lot of people, you know? And I think about that with Jupiter. Like, Jupiter's blessings, they could be so specific, and they could be so particular, and they could be so in a moment, you know? And I want to just I want to help you guys understand Jupiter, and I want you to help you guys understand the way benefics work, because we just think that we're going to get something for free. We think, oh yeah, during a Jupiter Venus conjunction, my husband's going to knock on my door and he's going to just propose and we're going to get married, right? Like, no, if you know Jupiter and Venus are coming together in your fifth house, you should be going out. You should, join a dance class. You should be, going to friends' parties. You should be, going out in the world, because then you're giving Jupiter the opportunity to bring that husband in. You're not going to meet him at home. You see what I'm saying? This is when we really start to understand astrology and we start to apply astrology to our life. We understand that we're also not just passive recipients, or we're not just passive, um, we're not passengers when it comes to astrology, when it comes to life. You know, we really do have to meet the planets halfway. And this is where free will and choice and action comes in. Like, we don't want to live in relationship to astrology, that we don't want to have a fate-based relationship with astrology. We don't. It's not good for the spirit, it's not good for the soul. Why is this? Because if we have a fate-based relationship with astrology, if we end up believing that everything in our life is fated and written, you know what sets in? Apathy. Well, fuck it. Everything's written anyways. I have no control over my life anyways. So, hands off the steering wheel. I'm just going to let the divine, I'm going to let spirit, I'm going to let the planets guide my life. And that is the last thing that you want to do. You do not want to do that. I promise you, you don't. Because apathy, none of the planets like apathy, especially Jupiter, especially the sun. These planets do not like apathy. Saturn is the planet of apathy. The planet of apathy, of I don't care, of fuck it, whatever, I don't believe in God, the planet of doubt, pessimism, the ultimate pessimist, the ultimate doubter, the ultimate stagnator, the prisoner, right? The planet that keeps us a prisoner, okay, is Saturn. That's all Saturn energy. Doubters, pessimists, people that are apathetic, they just are bored, boredom, that's a Saturn thing, you know? All opposite of Jupiter and all opposite of the sun. The sun is your willpower, joy, fun, creativity, your will, your ability to command your actions and choices, and your ability to make decisions that go against the divine order, right? If you want it to be. Like, I don't know, who's to say? And is everything's part of the divine order, right? Everything's part of the divine order, but unlike the planets, we have free will, we have agency, you know? And it's interesting if you study all the like not all the astrological traditions, but the majority of them, especially, like the ones that came after Vedic astrology. So if you study like, Hellenistic astrology, you're studying, ancient Arabic astrology, or Islamicite astrology, they really started to incorporate astrology based on the philosophy of free will, and working with the planets, right? Instead of having the planets work against you, or having the planets subject you to things that are fated or destined. That's the thing. When we get apathetic, when we are not moving with intention, when we are just living and letting life take over, and letting, the planets do whatever they want, they will cause a lot of destruction and chaos, and they will kind of make things happen in a way that's very unfocused. And so our life just seems to be very unfocused. This is why free will is so important, and why claiming your free will and strengthening your willpower, and being intentional with it, is one of the best tools of manifestation. And it's really what the planets love it. The planets love, especially the sun and Jupiter, they love when we are making good, positive choices for ourselves. And when when we have a goal, we have a dream. Even Saturn loves when we have a goal. Jupiter is the big dreamer, but Saturn is the planet that helps us build the dream. You know, these planets, they love it when we have our free will and when we are living intentionally. So I want you guys to consider that with this Jupiter Venus conjunction. I want you to think about, how are you reaching? How are you expanding? How are you growing? How are you connecting to people? The majority of our blessings really come through people, and you never know, an opportunity, a magical thing, a full ride scholarship, a free car, a free house. It can just be one handshake away, one person away, It really can be. I just want you guys to think about that, the Jupiter Venus conjunction, okay? Because yes, this Jupiter Venus conjunction is so benevolent and it's so beautiful, but we also got to keep in mind that, it's happening in the last degrees of Cancer, and when Jupiter is about to exit a sign, it's sometimes it's more about release and endings and closure and moving away from something, you know. And maybe there can be a lot of people, especially mutable signs like Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, Sag, because the nodes are wrapping up in Pisces and Virgo, and we just had that full blue moon in Sagittarius that was squaring the nodes. A lot of Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, Saggies, Sun, Moon, and Rising are at a crossroads right now. They're having to make a decision, or there's fated, destined things that are happening in their life that are out of their control, okay, that they need to like wait to finish, or that they need to overcome before they can start the next chapter. And Jupiter, the ruler of the North Node right now, going into a new sign, right? Very soon, he's going to be going into Leo in a month, at the end of this month, actually. So not even a month, like 3 weeks. He's going to start that new chapter for a lot of mutable signs, because Jupiter, goes into Leo, and then the nodes go into Leo and Aquarius as well. So we're going to have Jupiter and the nodes, they both shift within a month of each other, right? So at the end of this month, we have Jupiter going to Leo, and then at the end of next month, and then July, we have the nodes going to Leo and Aquarius. So then the mutable signs are done with their uh, Pisces, Virgo eclipse narratives that they've been going through. Pisces, Virgo, Sag, Geminis, the mutables, they've been going through eclipse energy and getting eclipsed since January of 2025, when the nodes went into Pisces and Virgo. So, with the eclipse is now shifting to the Leo Aquarius axis, now the fixed signs are going to be the ones that are dealing with the eclipse energy, with destiny and fate looking upon them, with kind of things moving through their life where things are coming in and things are being filtered out very quickly. Because that's what the nodes do. The nodes and the eclipses, they bring things into our life. They bring new stuff in, they force us forward in a lot of ways, but they also release things, they clear things out, and they bring endings and closure and release, because of the south node. The south node brings endings and the north node brings beginnings. And so yeah, so if you are a mutable sign, Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, Sag, you're finding yourself at a crossroads this month. You have to make a very important decision or choice, or even there's like a big change on the horizon. Just be very proactive about it, but also be very um, discerning in what path you choose to go on. Okay, Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, Sag people, because the nodes are wrapping up. And this is Gemini season. We have one more mutable season. We have Virgo season before the nodes go into Leo and Aquarius. I'm just waving at everybody. So, but yeah, so Jupiter Venus conjunction tomorrow. Okay, let's take a look. I'm hot. Let me open up this window real quick. It's like raining outside, but yesterday it was all sunny. Like, the weather needs to make up its mind. The mutable seasons, the weather always goes nuts during the mutable seasons though, because that's when the seasons are changing. We're not quite in one season. We're in between seasons. I'm feeling better, actually. I'm feeling better, but the moment that I lay down is when the pain's gonna start again. So I have no pain right now, thank goodness. I took some pain medication though. So And the antibiotics are finally kicking in, thank goodness. I started taking antibiotics yesterday and they're kicking in. So, all right, let's take a look at the astrology. Let's take a look at the chart. Okay, so what do we got going on here? We have Mercury slowing down to go retrograde. Oh yeah, so today's really a blessed day. Today's a really good day. Yeah, the earthquakes, one near Cuba, one in the Philippines. Yes, I did hear about that. Yes. We're going to be getting earthquakes as Uranus comes in to square the nodes. So we have Uranus at 2 degrees, Gemini, and we have the north node and the south node at 3 degrees, Virgo and Pisces. So, as Uranus, the planet of rupturing, the planet of earthquakes, the planet that disturbs the environment or disturbs the tectonic plates and stuff, as he comes in to square the nodes, we're going to be seeing an increase of earthquake activity. Also Mars and Taurus. So, Uranus was in Taurus, bringing a lot of earthquakes, but Mars is also, releasing pressure from underneath the Earth since, Taurus is connected to the Earth and connected to the land and the ground and stuff like this. So I think it's a combination of Mars and also Uranus coming in to square the nodes. But so today we have the moon wrapping up in Pisces. Oh my God. And then it's so crazy because tomorrow the moon goes into Aries and that's when I'm getting my root canal. Right when the moon's in my second house, opposing my Mars, tomorrow is when I'm getting a root canal. That is so astrologically appropriate. Um, but today's kind of like a blessed day. We may also see it bleed into tomorrow morning because the moon trine Jupiter Venus. Didn't someone say that their friend got engaged today or got married today or something? Literally, the moon's in Pisces trining Jupiter and Venus today. I'm going back to see. Oh, a friend got engaged yesterday. Someone said their friend got engaged yesterday. Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, moon is trining Jupiter Venus. Um, Very auspicious. If anyone, if you're thinking about starting a website, launching a business, if you're thinking about getting any kind of creative project going, even if you just like, you don't have to work on it today, but just start it like today, going to tomorrow. Just start it. Your sister gave birth 3 days ago. Aww. Did the baby have an Aquarius moon or Pisces moon? That's very beautiful. Your baby's gonna your her baby has a nice chart. Very, very nice chart. Um, oh, we have a few things to talk about. We have Mercury coming into square Saturn tomorrow. But yeah, if you're thinking about getting like a creative endeavor started or doing something, even like let's say you're like, oh yeah, I want to get on social media, create the page today. You don't have to work on it. Just start the thing today or start creating the thing today. Because the moment of creation, when you start creating it, or when you like press the create button or you start working on it, that is its birth chart. That's the energy that's imbued in the creation itself. Aquarius moon, Gemini sun, Taurus rising, 9 pound baby. I think I was 9 pounds or 10 pounds. I was a big baby when I was born. They thought I was gonna be overweight. Me, Venus, and Pisces, I've been feeling the need to focus back on my spiritual journey. You definitely should. Life is a spiritual journey. We're never not on our spiritual journey. It's one of the things I realized. I was like thinking about it yesterday. I was like, everything is spiritual. Me, even when I'm pooping, it's a spiritual act. When I'm taking a shower, it's a spiritual act. When I'm doing dishes, it's a spiritual act. When I'm walking my dog, it's a spiritual act. Everything is spiritual. Some things are more spiritual than others, but. But anyways, so the moon goes into Aries tomorrow. So the moon's in Pisces today, trining Jupiter and Venus. We love this, okay? But tomorrow, the moon goes into Aries and it's going to conjoin Neptune. And this can be a little emotionally confusing. And one of the things I want you guys to be, oh, with medium, oh yeah, get back to your spiritual gifts. Yeah, come on. With mediumship, yeah. We're like Pisces rising, we are so gifted. I can't even tell you. Like, we are so talented. Like, I can do so many things. I was just thinking about this. Like, someone messaged me like, and you could sing. We're so talented. We're so gifted. Like we're mediums, we're psychics, we're empaths, we're psychologists. We're also creative. We love music, we love art, we love fat. Venus exalts in Pisces. If you wonder why so many Pisces have like naturally imbued creative talent, it's because Venus, the planet of beauty and art and fashion, okay, and love, okay, exalts in Pisces. This is why Pisces people, if they're not, smoking or drinking their life away, or if they're not living on the streets like a homeless bum, they're so gifted and they're so talented and they're so creative. But they gotta stay, Pisces, you gotta stay away from the alcohol, you gotta stay away from the opium, you gotta stay away from the weed, you gotta stay away from all the substances. Okay? Pisces, that is Pisces undoing. Pisces undoing is any kind of chemical, anything. Like Pisces can drink too much water and get drunk. Like that's how sensitive Pisces is. Like Pisces, if they eat the wrong food, they'll be having a bad day. Like they're so sensitive. Um, and they get drained, they get exhausted they get exhausted. Pisces, like they can't be dealing with the real world. Like, it's one of the things I've realized as a Pisces rising. Like, don't put me out there in the real world. I can't survive. I need to be in my own little, like, keep me sequestered. I need to be, like in my own little space, my own little temple that I've created here, my little house, my little apartment. Pisces, we're not cut out for the real. We're not tough like this. Okay? We're not tough like this. We're not built for the real world. That's a Virgo thing. We're sensitive. We're soft. We're delicate. We're tender. We're unicorns. We're magicians. We're mermaids. And you don't see unicorns, mermaids, magicians out in the world just going to work. You don't. Mystical, magical creatures need to be treated as such, and they hide. Mystical, magical creatures are hard to find. Anybody who's played Pokemon and who's, Pokemon Go, whatever Pokemon you play, and you're looking for the shiny Pokemon, that's Pisces. Pisces energy is rare. This is why Pisces rising is the rarest rising sign. They have the least amount of people that are born Pisces rising. It's a very rare rising sign to have. But yeah, if you're Pisces, like, come on now. You're so talented, you're so gifted, very psychic, very very spiritually gifted. Pisces are they're incredible healers or mediums or psychics. They're so intuitive. And but they just got to keep themselves clean and clear. Clean and clear, is very important. But yeah, so Moon in Pisces today, trine Jupiter, Venus. This is a very auspicious, blessed day. We always want to remember that sometimes the moon has delayed energy, or the moon, when it's emitting energy, the moon is like a satellite. So it's actually really interesting. In Hellenistic astrology, they actually explain how the projection of energy works from the planets. So what they say is that the moon, what it's doing is, as it's going around Earth, yeah, as it's going around the zodiac, and it's meeting up the planets. What the moon does is it gathers the energy like a cup, like a bowl. It gathers the energy of all the planets like a satellite, and then it projects the energy onto Earth. So the external planets, the planets that are beyond the moon, like all the planets other than the moon, um, the moon is their satellite, and the moon gathers their energy and then it projects it on Earth. Like this is what they believe in Hellenistic astrology. And so with lunar transits, with moon transits, we want to kind of expect a delay. And sometimes it could be like, a day and a half delay with the energies actually manifesting here on Earth, because the moon has to collect the energy and the moon has to send it to Earth, right? So I always think about, sometimes there's a little bit of a delay with the manifestations of the transits. And we got to be very conscious of that because of the nature of the moon. Okay. But yeah, so tomorrow, Moon goes into Aries, and it's gonna be with Neptune. And one of the things I've been realizing about the combination of Mercury and Aries with Neptune and Aries, and also Mercury's at 11 degrees Cancer as of tomorrow. Well, actually, let me see. So yeah, the ninth, Mercury will be at 11. And then on the 12th, on Wednesday, Mercury in Cancer is going to be squaring Saturn in Aries exactly. And the moon's going to be like right there, right between Neptune and Saturn. The moon's, I'm looking at midnight of Wednesday going into Wednesday. Um, and the moon's at 8 degrees Aries, sandwiched between Neptune and Saturn. So with Neptune and Aries, Mercury was squaring Neptune in Aries last week. Mercury is squaring Saturn in Aries this week. The exact hit of that square between Saturn and Mercury is actually Wednesday, the 10th. What we've been seeing is people getting really defensive, emotionally defensive, and people going on the attack and people getting angry, and people also kind of projecting their anger on others. I've seen a lot of this on social media. I've seen it with big names too, like spiritual people going on the attack and attacking each other. Um, but we got to be mindful with Neptune and Aries. We got to ask ourselves, is our anger a projection? Are we mad at this person because this person is illuminating something within us, is stirring up something within us, is triggering with something within us, right? Obviously, you wouldn't be mad if you weren't triggered. So you must be triggered if you're mad, right? But we gotta not just let the emotion of Mercury and Cancer and Neptune, Saturn, Aries take us over. You know what I've noticed lately is like we're just giving into our emotion. And we're not logically rationally asking ourselves like, wait, is this the best emotional response, or why am I feeling this way? We're not investigating, we're just letting the emotion overtake us and overcome us, and then all of a sudden we're angry and we're mad or we're pissed off and we feel defensive, we feel attacked. Because Cancer is a sign that's about defense, it's about protection, but it's also about emotion. Aries is about offense. Aries is about going on the attack, right? It's a sign of war. This is why Cancer and Aries square each other, right? When people go to war, what do they try to do a lot of times? They're trying to invade someone's homeland. They're trying to take over or conquer someone's land. This is why Aries, the sign of war, squares Cancer, the sign of real estate, property, the home, the homeland. It's Cancer, right? So I just want you guys to think about this, like, because if you have any like Capricorn, Aries, Cancer, Libra placements, this kind of square. Oh, this is actually really good for me. Mercury's going to be in my fifth house, squaring Saturn and squaring my Mars. So that means that my whatchamacallit, my root canal is going to go really good, actually. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mercury. I'm having all this in my fifth house, so this is gonna be good. I'm happy. I've had really bad dental experiences. This is another reason why I like am very like cautious and suspicious when it comes to dentists, is because I had a really bad dental experience back in 2017 and 18 that is going to end up costing me all my teeth over time. I had a horrible dentist who retired after, by the way. I went off on him and I like was ready to report him and everything. He retired like a month later after he was done with like working on my stuff. But what he did, I had a chipped tooth and I went in there for one root canal, and he was like, "Let's just do all three. Let's just do your entire like this side." And he fucked me up, dude. He fucked me up. Like I ended up having to get one of those root canals pulled in the beginning of last year and had to get an implant put in. And then the dentist told me that the other two root canals, they're gonna be they're gonna not they're not doing well. Yeah, they're not doing well. So yeah, and he tried to do them all in a day, dude. He tried to do three root canals in a day. And I was in so much pain. And it was just like the worst experience. And I was like literally telling him, like, no, I don't want to do this. He's like, come on, he like talked me into it. It was like, what is your problem? Like, he wasn't my original dentist though. He ended up taking over the dental office. The original dentist that worked there had retired. So he was like, the other dentist, or he like took over. And dude, it was absolutely terrible. It was absolutely terrible. So that's why I'm like a little cautious about dentists and stuff. But this is actually really good for me. The Mercury squaring Saturn and squaring Mars tomorrow, because it's in my fifth house and it's telling me that my procedure is going to go well. So I'm excited about that. But anyways, tomorrow going into Wednesday, we're gonna feel this conjunction peaks on Wednesday. It's gonna die down kind of like by Friday, but we're still gonna this we're gonna feel this Mercury Saturn square all week. Okay. And this can show up in a lot of different ways. So I'm gonna give you guys some delineations. Take it or leave it, okay? This can be about getting fired or let go. Mercury's a planet of jobs, and Saturn's a planet of endings and rejections. This can also be about losing something or something getting destroyed. Saturn in Aries is the great destroyer. Okay. Saturn likes to catch things on fire. He likes to break things when he's in Aries. He's very destructive when he's in Aries. Mercury is objects, things that we own, our iPad, our watch, our phones. So with Mercury square Saturn, don't be surprised if you end up losing something, if you end up breaking something, okay, something ruptures, something cracks, Mercury square Saturn. Um, this can also be challenging for those that struggle with communication or with learning or education. When Mercury is coming against the pressure of Saturn, like for instance, let's say you have to take a test tomorrow. Um, if you have an option to, especially if you're someone that maybe you have a weak Mercury, you struggle with Mercury, or testing gives you a lot of anxiety, if you can delay it, I would delay it, or a Wednesday. If you could delay, like say you have a test this week, if you could delay it, I would delay it because the Mercury square Saturn can make Mercury activities very difficult and very hard. Like, so just even like learning, taking a test, reading a book, or even like, doing a routine could be a little difficult, a little hard. The Mercury square Saturn could create delays and setbacks with your routine, or it can bring burdensome experiences that you have, like burdensome tasks that you have to do, because it's like Saturn is like, oh no, you got to address this, you got to take care of this, and I'm thinking about this also with like me having to go to the dentist and get a root canal. Like I don't want to do that, but I have to do that because Saturn's making me, like Saturn's like, okay, well, you're gonna suffer, and this, you can get a horrible infection if you just let this go, so you got to get this taken care of, right? So I just want you guys to think about with that, with Mercury square Saturn, like there could be responsibilities, there could be expectations, there could be delays, there could be cancellations. That's another one. Mercury's the planet of appointments. So Mercury, he rules Virgo. So he loves to keep a calendar. He loves to keep a clock. Like Mercury is like, okay, I gotta be here at 7. I gotta be here at 9. I gotta then be here at 11. I gotta pick up the kids at 4. Then I gotta get them to the soccer game at 5. And then I gotta cook dinner. Like that's Mercury. That's Virgo. That's Mercury, right? But Saturn is a planet of cancellations. Saturn is no rejection. So with Mercury square Saturn, this perfects, like I said on Wednesday, there can be sudden cancellations of like events or appointments, or you may even have to move an appointment around because something comes up. So I just want you guys to be mindful of this, okay? This is very triggering for communication, though. Mercury square Saturn is the energy of someone saying no. It's the energy of someone rejecting someone. It's also the energy of someone wanting to exert power, control, or authority over someone with either mental means or through communication, right? So just be mindful of that, especially if you have anything around this. This square goes exact on Wednesday the 10th. Saturn in Aries at 12 degrees and Mercury in Cancer at 12 degrees. And they're going to be squaring my Mars. Mercury's going to be squaring my Mars and forming a T square with my Mars and my Saturn, or with Mars and Libra. My Mars and Libra is opposing Saturn and Aries. And yeah, so yeah, we just want to be mindful of that. Okay. We have but interestingly enough, we also have a very stimulating transit that's building, which is Mercury building into a sextile with Mars. So Mercury sextile Mars, that's gonna be on. Oh, it's not gonna be till next week. Dang, Mars is kind of moving kind of fast. Yeah, Mercury will sextile Mars next week, actually. It's going to be on Monday of next week. So we'll talk about that when we get there. But it's going to be very stimulating, very mentally stimulating. Mercury sextile Mars, especially because Mars is coming in to stimulate. Well, actually, they're moving. Who's going to hit first? Mercury hits Mars first. Oh, then Mercury starts to slow down a retrograde. Okay, so they're gonna hit that sextile next week. It's gonna be on Friday the 19th. But Mercury's slowing down to retrograde. We're about to have our Mercury retrograde in Cancer. So you guys prepare for the Mercury retrograde. It's coming at the end of this month. I believe we have Mercury retrograde. I think it starts on the 29th. Let me see. Hold on. I'll tell you guys. I think it's the 29th of June. Yeah. The 29th to the 30th, we're going to have Mercury go retrograde. You should play. Yeah. If someone asked if tomorrow's a good day for scratchers with Jupiter and Venus, yeah, definitely. You should definitely play, you know? Especially if you haven't, tried your hand at anything. You got to play the game to win. Big lesson from Jupiter. That's why Jupiter's connected to gambling through Sagittarius and through the sign of Sagittarius, Jupiter's connected to investments and gambling. And in order for you to win, you got to invest. You got to play the game, right? If you don't play the game, you can't win. It's the only way. That's like Jupiter brings his blessings through luck and through opportunity, through gambling a lot of times, right? But a lot of people that shouldn't be gambling gamble, you know? And a lot of people that should be gambling aren't gambling because they don't have because it's like a moral thing as well, you know? Yeah, gambling, I don't know, it could be a little bit of a moral thing. It can really test morals. Because gambling, if we're not gambling for the right reasons, or if we're gambling from a place of greed or selfishness, we may not win, you know? Jupiter's benevolent. So if we play the scratchers because like we want to pay off our kids' college tuition or send our kid to school or we want to pay off some medical bills, like we have that intention of like, I need this money for like medical bills or I need this money for something like good like that or to help someone, it ups our chances of winning. Um okay, so let's keep going. So the moon's going to be in Aries Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. This kind of is going to make us feel a little irritable, a little sassy, maybe a little combative. Okay, very action oriented. Good days to go to the gym, work out. Okay, be physical, so that Martian energy, the heat of Aries, of the moon in Aries, doesn't end up becoming volatile or toxic, or we don't end up getting into like any fights or arguments with people. Because the moon in Aries will trigger that. It will trigger some irritation. It will trigger some frustration. This is also the fifth house away from our full moon in Sagittarius. So, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with the moon in Aries, this can be a very positive transit. The fifth house brings good stuff, right? The fifth house is a benevolent house. It has to do with children, has to do with fun, it also has to do with love and dating and meeting people. It also has to do with entrepreneurism, sports, our ingrained talent, inborn talent, confidence, inner child stuff. That's fifth house. So with the moon going through Aries, the fifth house away from the full moon in Sag, we can actually receive some really good or positive news Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, from the fifth house energy. Okay. Oh, that air feels so good. It's got a nice cool breeze blowing. And then we're gonna have our full moon. We have our full moon next week on the 14th. Wait, hold on. Is that right? We have a full moon on the 14th? A new moon, my bad. I don't think that's right. Let me just double check. Hold on. I feel like my timing is off. Wait a minute. Oh, it's on the 15th. We have a new moon in Gemini on the 15th. I'm feeling better. Thank you, babe. I'm feeling a lot better. Did I say full moon in Gemini? I'm tripping. That's the Mercury. That's Mercury already moving into square with Saturn. We're gonna have a new moon in Gemini. A new moon in Gemini. I'll talk about that this weekend. I'll talk about the new moon. We'll go over the new moon this weekend. Um, whoa, we have Venus moving into an opposition with Pluto, though. That's gonna be a little rough. I have a client who was born with the Venus Pluto opposition, and they have a kidney issue. They have Venus opposite Pluto, and Venus on the rising opposite Pluto on the seventh. And they were born with a genetic kidney disease. Venus on the rising opposite Pluto. One of the things I've noticed, I have another client, I just did a reading for them who has Moon, Pluto, Venus, and in Libra on the rising. They have Moon, Pluto, Saturn in Libra on their rising. Libra rules the kidneys, Venus rules the kidneys. They're also going to be needing a possible kidney transplant. As Saturn is coming in to oppose their Saturn, Moon, Pluto conjunction in Libra on the rising. It's so crazy because like I have two clients with one that has Venus, one has Libra on the rising with but the Pluto on the moon, the Pluto opposite Venus. One of the things I've noticed about Pluto, especially in how he shows up in medical astrology, is he can indicate genetically inherited illnesses or diseases. Both clients, the one that has Moon, Pluto, Saturn, and the other one that has Venus on the rising opposite Pluto, they both got it genetically. The one with Moon, Pluto, Saturn got it from their mother. And then the one with Venus opposite Pluto got it from both parents. So Pluto can really show up as these karmic genetic illnesses or transmutations. It's really crazy, actually. But yeah, we're gonna have a Venus Pluto opposition next week. Venus is gonna go into Leo and oppose Pluto and Aquarius. And that is gonna be a very intense transit. We'll talk about it when we get there. But I just want to prep you guys for that because that Venus Pluto opposition is going to be applying some pressure to the realm of relationships, especially for fixed signs. So if you are a Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, or Scorpio, um, be prepared. Yeah. What is that from? That's from Lion King. Be prepared. Yeah, it is. I know. I'm not gonna play it too much because I don't want to get flagged because one of my videos got flagged for playing music a couple weeks ago, so I don't want to do that. But um, yeah, when Jupiter goes into Leo, he's gonna move into an opposition with Pluto, and that is going to be very intense and dramatic. Jupiter opposite Pluto is like Zeus fighting Hades. So I'm kind of anticipating that we're gonna see some battles erupt when Jupiter goes into Leo and opposes Pluto. We may see some like good guy, bad guy stuff happening on a collective level. Oh, don't say that, Miss Armstrong. Hopefully not. That is a signature of that though. Miss Armstrong said a nuclear bomb, LOL. Yeah, Jupiter opposite Pluto can be that, you know? It can be about explosive warfare or even digital warfare or subterranean warfare or hidden warfare, like warfare that's behind the scenes. Also religious warfare. Jupiter is the planet of religion, right? So this could be about, we're already seeing a religious war, kind of. It's weird, but We already see it, but yeah, they may become very blatantly obvious with that. Yeah, Jupiter moving into Leo on your birthday, that's awesome. I love that for you. That's a really cool signature to have. Also, if you anybody has their birthday around now, like let's say you have you're a Gemini and you're having your birthday this week around the Jupiter Venus conjunction, it's so auspicious to have Jupiter and Venus in your solar return chart in a conjunction. It's super auspicious. It's like really, it can indicate some really good positive things for you in the year to come. So, if you are a Gemini and you're having your birthday around this time, this week, next week, as Jupiter and Venus are together, this can be really good for you. Oh, it's outside. I thought I smelled like pee or something. Like my dog is in his kennel. But it's raining outside. It's literally the scent of the rain from outside. Your birthday's tomorrow. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Anthony. But yeah, this is very good. It's very auspicious to have Jupiter Venus together. It's actually better to have it in the solar return chart than it is to have it in transit. Jupiter and Venus will separate by I'm on June 12th and they're still within 2 degrees of each other. So it's really going to be when Venus goes into Leo, which will be on Sunday the 14th. Yeah. So if you have your birthday, from now until the 13th, you're going to have this beautiful Jupiter Venus conjunction locked into your chart. What I will say though, with Mercury square Saturn, don't be surprised if you end up doing a job change with the upcoming year. So if your birthday this week, is this week because of Mercury square Saturn, that can literally be the loss of a job or you changing a job. Okay. So I just want to forewarn you with that as well. I've seen that signature in the solar return chart before, and that's exactly what happened for a client. I warned her. I told her, I was like, I'm gonna be honest with you, this is kind of giving layoff, or it's giving getting let go, or it's giving like the end of a job and it's out of your control. And sure enough, a few months later, she texted me, Louie, you were right. Troubles in the waters at work. I just got laid off. But she's got a better job now. So I'm happy for her. But yeah, getting laid off and getting let go, especially if you are like an independent person and you support yourself, can be a very scary thing. And we just need to hold space for people right now as well. All the people grieving their old careers or their old jobs, or even grieving the careers they thought they were going to have. A moment of silence for all the dead careers. That's not funny, but the way I don't know why I'm laughing. That's so messed. Louis, stop. Stop laughing. That's not funny. I think it was the delivery. I think it was delivery that caught me that made me giggle a little bit. It's not right. It's not funny. It's fucked up. Let's bow our heads. Let's have a moment of silence, okay, for all the jobs, all the lost jobs, all the careers never never were or that never will be, you know, all the lost potential, all the lost income, all the we're grieving the lost income. We're grieving the lack of money coming into our bank accounts ultimately. But also, just like Kagome said, fuck that job. Okay? Fuck that job. Firmly, officially, serendipitously, expialidociously. Fuck that job. You guys know that I've been on the fuck that job tip for the last 5 years. Like this is nothing new, you know? And before you come to get a reading with me, if you come to me for a reading and you don't like your job, I'm gonna tell you within 3 minutes, of talking about career, I'm gonna tell you, fuck that job. Okay? Fuck that job. Because this is my personal philosophy. Okay? This is a life mantra of mine. Okay? I actually have it tatted under my left eye. Look it. Fuck. No, I'm just kidding. Imagine if I flipped over, like flipped up my left eye and like fuck that job was like tattooed underneath. That'd be crazy. Well, that's how strongly I feel about it. Okay? That's how strong. Listen, we're not doing Virgo things in this lifetime. We're not doing six house. We're not doing six house things. We're not doing South Node and Virgo things. No, we're not. We're not slaves. We're not servants. Okay? We're not indentured servants. Okay? We're not just pegs and cogs in a wheel. We're so much more than that. Bullshit. All right? These jobs piss me off. I swear. They do. Honestly, they're pissing off the rich people too, because the rich people, they're sick of the jobs too. Like, no one wants to work the jobs. No one wants the fucking jobs. Like, even the jobs that are out there, we don't want those. We don't want those jobs. Get it away from me. I don't want that. Get that job away from me. It's giving me the ick. It's giving me the ick. Ugh. Is that a pay stub I see? Ew. Ew, get that pay stub away from me. Get the pay stub away from me. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see all the fact that 40% of my money has been deducted for no fucking reason. Okay? Unless you have the North Node in the sixth house along with Saturn and Jupiter, like my husband. Yes, you're here to work. And you guys know that. You guys know my other thing. It's funny because I have a client who brought it up to me last week. They brought up what I said last Monday, which was if you're a Virgo, if you're a Capricorn, you're here to work. And I better see you at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock on the dot. You're clocking in. Okay, you're getting 30 minutes. You get two 10-minute breaks, and you're out of here at 5, no OT. If you are a Virgo or a Capricorn, I expect to see you 9 o'clock Monday morning. Okay? Everyone else, fuck that job. Everyone else, though, fuck that job. But Virgos and Capricorns, 9 o'clock. I'll see you first thing in the morning. Okay? You got to report for duty. You got to report for duty. Virgo Venus. You too, my love. I'm sorry, but yes, you too. You too. Yes, you could run the register. Okay, let you run the register, but baby, you showing up to work. Okay. Virgo Venus, you too. Okay. All right, let's get back to the astrology. So, let me get back. Look at these Amazon people out in the rain, dude. I give them so much credit for that. So the moon, okay, we talk about the moon in Aries. The moon goes into Taurus on Friday. Oh, we love it. Oh, ooh, ooh. Okay, Friday and Saturday and Sunday. Well, Saturday could be a little bit of a curveball, but Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are going to be beautiful days. Well, mainly Friday and Saturday. Okay, Thursday evening, Friday and Saturday. Saturday might be a little bit of a mixed bag. Okay, the reason being is because the moon goes into Taurus come Thursday. Actually, Friday. Did I say Friday? It's like Thursday evening. That's why we gotta give the Taurus moon a little bit of ownership over Thursday. Yeah, it's actually Thursday around 1 p.m. Pacific time. The moon goes into Taurus Thursday evening. So Thursday evening, Friday, going into Saturday until Saturday evening, the moon goes into Taurus. But what is the moon pulling energy from? The moon in Taurus, exalted by the way, is in a mutual reception with Venus in Cancer, who's at the last degrees, who has just transited Jupiter. We just had the Jupiter Venus conjunction a few days prior, right? We have it on Tuesday tomorrow. It's actually in the sky already, but it goes exact tomorrow. And then the moon goes into Taurus on Thursday, ruled by that Venus in Cancer who just separated from Jupiter. And also, the moon is exalted in Venus's sign, and Venus is next to Jupiter, who's exalted in the moon sign. What do we call this? We call that a mutual reception. So a mutual reception is when two planets are in each other's signs that they rule, so they're exchanging positive energy. Okay, mutual receptions, they bring a lot of alleviation, a lot of they bring they relieve pressure, they relieve tension or conflict between planets, um, because they're literally exchanging energy. They're sharing energy. They're in like their own little energetic feedback loop, and they're supporting each other. I have a mutual reception in my natal chart with Mars in Libra and Venus in Scorpio. So even though Mars and Libra and Venus and Scorpio are difficult in of themselves, right? Because Mars is in his detriment in Libra and Venus is in her detriment in Scorpio. The fact that my Venus and Mars are in each other's signs and they're in a mutual reception actually allows, it actually gives them energetic support and it alleviates their detrimental status. It actually makes their energy a little bit more manageable, a little bit more tolerable, and it actually alleviates more of the negative expressions of my Venus and my Mars placement. Okay. My Venus and my Mars placement are particularly difficult because I have Mars in Libra in the 12th house to my Venus in Scorpio. And if you want to understand why Venus is in detriment in Scorpio, all you have to do is put her on the rising and put Scorpio on the rising to understand why Venus is in detriment in Scorpio. Because if you put Scorpio on the rising, and this is what you should do with all the signs, this is a way that I think about things. Whenever I want to understand a placement, I always put it on the rising to delineate houses from it. If you put Scorpio on the rising, what do you get in the 12th house? You get Libra, the sign of relationships. And then in the 7th house, you get Taurus, the sign of partnerships. So Venus for Scorpio rules the 12th and the 7th, which is why Scorpio has so much karma when it comes to love. Scorpio's biggest karma is love and relationships because Libra rules their 12th house and Taurus rules their 7th. Venus rules the 7th and the 12th, right? So this is why Scorpio, they really be dropping the ball when it comes to love, and they also get the ball dropped on them a lot when it comes to love. You know, Scorpios, they deal with deception, they deal with heartbreak, they deal with loss, they deal with cheating. They're either the victims or the villains a lot of times. And it's and they get really jealous and obsessive and all that stuff. It's the karma of Libra in the 12th, Taurus in the 7th. Venus ruling the 12th house, 7th house, and the connection between those houses, right? The fact that Venus rules the 12th also damages the 7th. So this is a Vedic astrology belief. Okay. What they say in Vedic astrology is that planets that rule over the negative houses are damaged and harmed by the rulership over the negative or the more challenging houses. So the planet that rules your 8th house and your 12th house, that planet is wounded. The house that it's in gets wounded. And also the other sign, the other house that it rules, gets wounded a little bit by the invitation energetically of the 8th house, 12th house energy, and by its rulership over those houses. You won't hear this in any Western astrology class or anything. That's a Vedic astrology thing. Okay. But I see it. I see it happen a lot. You know, I see the connection. I see that connection. Um, but yeah, so going back to what I was saying about Thursday evening, Thursday afternoon, evening, Friday, going into Saturday, the moon is exalted in Taurus. She's in a mutual reception with Venus in Cancer, who's separating from Jupiter. So Thursday, Friday, and Saturday are blessed days, are magical days. If you are going on a date on these days, if you are meeting people, if you're going out on these days, even if you're going to a restaurant, you're going to go hang out, whatever, be very mindful and be very aware of who you're meeting and who you're talking to. and be ready to receive blessings or gifts. If someone wants to treat you, someone wants to take you out, someone wants to buy you food, someone wants to donate or give you a gift, just say yes, say thank you, and receive it. Okay? Because these are really auspicious days, you know? Today's an auspicious day, going to tomorrow, and then also Thursday evening, Thursday afternoon, evening, Friday, and then going to Saturday. Okay? Because that beautiful mutual reception with the moon in Taurus. In Venus, you know, the moon in Taurus exchanging energy with Venus and Cancer, who just separated from Jupiter. You know, we have that beautiful Jupiter Venus conjunction tomorrow, right? But that energy is going to be lingering. So that Venus Jupiter conjunction energy is going to be in the air all the way till the end of the week. But this moon in Taurus transit is going to like amplify that the benefic energy of Jupiter and Venus. You know, that Jupiter Venus conjunction. So there is some challenges though. We got to be, aware of a few challenging aspects as the moon goes into Taurus. So the first is like around midday as the moon leaves Aries, it conjoins Chiron. And I have timed this so like it's crazy. Like I noticed that when the moon hits Chiron or when the moon opposes Chiron, I tend to have like an emotional moment and I'm usually crying about like some relationship stuff or something because Chiron and Aries opposes Libra. So one of the things I've noticed is like when the moon either opposes Chiron or conjoins Chiron, I personally get super emotional. I do have Jupiter and Aries around where Chiron's at right now at the last degrees of Aries. We got to keep in mind Chiron's at a uh, at a climactic degree or Chiron is at a critical degree. He's at 29. Chiron's going to be going to Taurus. So all of you with the Chiron and Taurus, those of you that have the money wounds, the Chiron and Taurus, your thyroid issues, you got the money wounds, your baby daddy owes you money, you're not getting that alimony that you should be getting because you got Chiron and Taurus. Okay. He left you with the kids but with no money. Okay. We should see some redemption for you with your Chiron return. Okay. It's a beautiful I really do feel like our Chiron return, which happens around the age of like 46, 47, and Chiron's gonna be in Taurus for 7 years. Um, it's usually a cycle of completion and learning when it comes to our own Chiron, our own and what it means by house in our chart and also what it means by sign. And this is it's so important that you delineate your Chiron by the house that it's in. Okay, very important. A whole generation of people have Chiron in Taurus, Chiron in Aries, Chiron in Gemini, right? I have Chiron in Gemini. But how Chiron, where your particular woundedness shows up with Chiron in your chart, it's going to show up with the house. It's really going to show up with the house, you know? So you always want to pay attention to the house placement of your Chiron because that's where it's your own personal experience with Chiron, right? And also taking into consideration the sign that it's in, obviously, right? There's some very broad generalizations that I can say about Chiron and Gemini, Chiron and Cancer, Chiron and Taurus, and people that have that collectively will be able to relate to those delineations or those generalizations. But the particulars of your Chiron placement is really going to be seen by the house that it's in, in your own chart, right? So Celestial Creator says that she has it in the fifth house. That's the house of the father, one of the houses of the father. That's also the house of creativity, fun, joy, our inner child. Chiron in the fifth, a lot of people that have that, they didn't have a childhood, or they weren't allowed to express themselves or have fun, or their creativity, their talents weren't celebrated, and they can have a deep wound around confidence, self worth, and self esteem, especially confidence around performance and being seen. That's Chiron in the fifth. Because the fifth house is the house of your talents. It's the house of performance. It's the house of the gifts that you've been given, you know? And when you have Chiron in the fifth, that's where you're going to experience a lot of that woundedness. Chiron in the 10th, just become a healer, If you have Chiron in the 10th house, become a healer. That's the best thing to do. And you could become a healer in so many different ways, with Chiron in the 10th house. You just got to figure out how you want to help, how you want to heal, how you want to serve. What else is Chiron? How else does Chiron show up in work and career? Does anybody else know how? Other than in healing, how else does Chiron show up? And it's connected to his role with the gods and what he did with the gods in Greek mythology. Anybody else know what kind of professions or what how else Chiron shows up in career? Yeah, he's definitely the healer. Yeah, he's the wounded healer. He definitely shows up as in people that are healers. So people that, do any kind of healing, psychological healing, therapeutic healing, what is it? TCM, herbalism, Reiki practitioners. That's all Chiron. Chiron also shows up as an educator. He's a teacher. So it was his role to educate and teach all the gods about mythology, you know? And he taught them how to use weapons and he taught them how to use their tools. So Chiron also shows up in professions of people that teach. They're sharing wisdom and knowledge. Okay. Also, sometimes writing, especially those of us that have the Chiron and Gemini, working with school kids, working with disabled kids, teaching a foreign language or even teaching writing class or artistry or even like, reading to kids or teaching kids how to read. Chiron and Gemini. I know a lot of Chiron and Gemini folks that are teachers. A lot of Chiron and Gemini people that are teachers. Because Gemini rules what? Teaching, students, schools, you know? And if they have an intimate relationship with Chiron, then you really see that. If Chiron is really strong on their chart, the Chiron and Gemini. Like I have Chiron and Gemini in my fourth house, directly opposite my Saturn and Uranus in the 10th house. So I'm over here sharing wisdom and knowledge, you know, that is Uranian and Saturn. It's astrology. It's foreign. It's different. It's occult wisdom and knowledge, right? Oh, look what Marissa said. She said, "Oh my God, I did teach ESL kids how to read in high school for a summer." Do you see? You can't get away from your chart. You can't get away from your chart. Your chart will manifest because your chart is the seeds of the potential of your life. Whatever you do in your life, it has to be in your chart. It has to be because your chart is where everything germinates from. A lot of times, though, we have a problem or we have the difficulty is connecting your lived experience to your chart, right? And this is where um, astrological knowledge and expertise comes in. This is why a lot of times people they can't see themselves in their chart until they get a reading with me, and then I give them a reading, and then I literally connect the dots for them. I literally connect their chart to their life and their lived experience, because when we really understand the houses, the planets, and the signs, we're able to really develop a nice, complex, full picture of who someone is and what their life looks like you know but you have to know you have to learn everything though. It's like you have to know a lot. That's the thing with astrology. You got to know a lot. You got to know about professions. You got to know about health in the body if you want to do medical astrology. You got to know about emotions and mental health stuff. You got to know about all the areas of life. You got to know a little bit of everything if you want to be a good astrologer. Like for instance, let's say you want to give someone career. I always give people career advice, right? I always give people career advice. That's a big reason why people come to me for readings. But I got to be able to have all the careers that are possible, in my mind's eye. Sometimes there's careers or there's jobs that I see that I don't even know the name of, but I see someone doing something, right? I'm like, oh, I see you working at home. I see you on the phone. I see you processing this. I see you traveling. So sometimes I'll get indications of the type of work that they're doing or what the actual work is, but I don't know what the job title is, right? Or what the field is sometimes with the downloads and the impressions that I get, when I'm doing readings. But, the more that you know, the more that you're going to be able to help and the more information you're going to be able to give. You got to know a little bit of everything when it comes to, astrology. You got to know a little bit of everything, or just specialize. You could just, which a lot of astrologers do, they specialize. You have your career astrologers, and then you have, your electional astrologers that help you pick your wedding date. And then you have your health astrologers, and then you have your, you know, prediction solar return astrologers. Then you have your mental health therapist astrologers, It's, you know, you can specialize as well. There's no, you don't have to do it all. You don't have to do all the things. Okay. Um, but yeah, so anyways, understanding your Chiron placement, understanding your Chiron placement will help you figure out where you can heal, but also where you can heal others and where you can help and educate others. Chiron in the 10th house has a lot to do with the woundedness around career in general from past lives. So when people have Chiron in the 10th, there was a career, there was a purpose, there was a mission, there was a talent that they didn't bring to the world in some type of way. So if you do have Chiron in the 10th and you're having a Chiron return in the 10th house, this is your chance for you to do what you are feel like you're called to do. What you're destined to do. Whatever career calling that is, whatever it, and a lot of Chiron people in the 10th, they have a narrative or story of abandoning a career or abandoning a path in some type of way. A lot of them do, and it's because, kids are born, they get married, their parents get sick, they take care of their parents, different circumstances that will take them away or that will distract them or detract them from their 10th house goal or 10th house mission. But then the return is an opportunity of redemption, you know, if you have that Chiron return in the 10th house. But the Chiron return in general is an opportunity to really address the healing if the healing with that particular Chiron placement has gone unaddressed, you know, for many years, right? So, anyways, yeah, so very auspicious days, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. The one thing that's going to be challenging about Thursday when the moon goes into Taurus is the moon's going to square Pluto. And the moon Pluto square can be a little emotionally challenging. It can it could stir up a lot of emotions. Mine is in the third, and I think for me it was about communication. I was so shy when I was young. Now I teach classes with tons of people, and I would never thought I could do that. Oh, I love that. Do you have Chiron and Gemini too? What's your Chiron in? You have Chiron and Gemini in the third house? Or no, you have Chiron and Taurus, right? You have Chiron and Taurus in the third. You're Pisces rising, like me. Yeah, see, look at you. You're teaching. Look at that. That's like the best way to heal your Chiron is to teach whatever woundedness you have associated with it, or to do the thing that you have Chiron, like you have a woundedness around by house and by sign, you know. So, I always tell the Chiron and Taurus people, like, educate yourself financially. Like, don't be afraid of your credit card. Don't be afraid of your bank account. Master money. Build a healthy relationship with the material world. Chiron and Taurus. Super important. And if you want to take it a step further, help other people manage their money. Help other people figure out their money. Help other people save. Um, Offer financial products to people or become a financial educator in some type of way, right? Or at least become very financially versed, you know, because that's where the wound is at. Chiron and Taurus, it's the money wound. It's the wound at the bank account. You know, um, yeah. So, oh yeah. So, anyways, what I was talking about, Moon square Pluto on Thursday. That's going to be a little bit of a challenging transit. It could stir up a lot of emotion. It could bring up trauma. It can also bring up kind of like moments of crisis. It could also be, the Pluto in Aquarius has really been changing our friendships and transforming our relationship with friends and groups of people. And the Moon Pluto square can trigger some of that. It could trigger like a friend fallout or some friend drama. Pluto in Aquarius is gonna. It's the goal of Pluto in Aquarius is to really transform and change our social world. That's what Pluto in Aquarius is going to do in the next 20 years. The way that we connect, the way that we relate to people, and the value of friendships and the value of community, all that is going to transform, and it's also going to increase the value of friendships, the value of connections, the value of community. So, it's very important that you do your best to put yourself out there, but also you understand that not every community is meant for you, and not every community is going to celebrate you and accept you. And this is part of, the lessons of Aquarius is like, sometimes you're gonna be included and sometimes you're gonna be outcasted and excluded. And not every space is for you. Not everyone vibrates at your energy level. And, Not every community or social group or friend is a positive or healthy reflection of for you, you know? So, if they don't see themselves in you, if you don't see themselves yourself in them, then there's clearly going to be some kind of rupture and some kind of disconnect. You know what I mean? So just be mindful of that. Moon square Pluto will bring this up. We'll stir up a lot of the emotional waters and can bring up issues around self-worth and self-esteem because, Moon and Taurus are worth our value. It can also bring up money trauma stuff, the Moon square Pluto, so just be mindful of that, okay? And then, even though the moon is in this beautiful exalted state in Taurus, it is going to hit Mars. It's going to hit Mars on Saturday. Yeah, we're gonna Moon Mars together. Moon Mars can be emotionally triggering. It can bring domestic arguments or domestic fights, like fights in the home because the moon's the home. This is also giving because Taurus rules like the restaurant, the food market, like Ralph's and Vaughn's and Food for Less. Like Taurus also is connected to stores. So if you go to if you're going to like Abercrombie and Fitch, or if you're going to like Forever 21, you're going shopping for clothing, that's like Taurus, And so with Moon, Mars, and Taurus, this can literally be about people arguing at a restaurant, or people arguing in the marketplace, or even people arguing like in the mall, like so just be careful that that Moon, Mars, and Taurus, it could bring like it could bring moments of conflict or moments of irritation or frustration. The moon's exalted though, and Mars is in a weak state, but still, Mars and Taurus, he causes problems because why? He's not in a sign that he likes, right? So when a planet, especially Saturn or Mars, is in a sign where they're in detriment or fall, they perform even worse. Like they can be more malefic or more challenging. They don't soften up. People think, oh yeah, Mars and Taurus, he's in a sign ruled by Venus, so he should be like softer. But actually, no. He's slower to anger, but he's also slower to cool down, and he could be very, very destructive. Um, I was talking about this, I think, last week. I was talking about how Mars and Taurus is like the bull in the china shop. You know, um, just destroys. If you think about China, fine China, Taurus, things of value, right? Mars, the bull, and Taurus, literally, like, destroying everything. That's literally Mars and Taurus. And once a bull gets mad, it's hard to get them to cool down, So with Mars and Taurus, people can get angry at this moment in time, and their anger could like persist. It could be hard for them to cool down. But this could also be about arguments or disagreements concerning our values, what's important to us, right? So just be mindful of that. This can also bring stomach irritation or upset stomach for overeating. Moon and Taurus, we love to eat. We love to overeat. We love to indulge. We love to overspend when the moon is in Taurus. And with the moon Mars, this can literally be about even like you're just, Mars is desire nature and the moon seeking pleasure. This can literally be like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go ahead and, you know, spend $300 on the steak. I'm gonna get gold flakes in my cheeseburger, right? Because I want to feel rich, I want to feel wealthy, I want to indulge. Mars and Venus ruling Taurus. The planet Mars and the sign of Taurus and Venus, they love to indulge. They love pleasure. Mars loves pleasure. Venus loves pleasure. That's what both these planets have in common. They love to satiate their desires. They love pleasure. They both love sex. Venus and Mars, they love them some sex. Okay. Taurus, Taurus, Scorpio, Aries, Libra, that Mars Venus connection, it's desire, pleasure. So you just want to be mindful of overindulging, you know, Thursday, Friday, Saturday when the moon's going through Taurus, especially on Saturday when the moon hits Mars, okay? Good place to put this energy is in something creative, something active, something physical, something pleasurable. So maybe, yeah, maybe you want to go out on a date and you want to have some fun, you want to feel sexy, you want to look good, you want to get some sun. That's definitely Moon Mars energy. That's good high vibration Moon Mars energy for Saturday, okay? But just be mindful of the Moon Mars because, whenever Mars is activated with the moon in the sky, we want to slow down. The best way to prevent accident and injury when Mars is in the sky eliciting or what do you call this? Emitting his rays is to slow down. Mars causes the most destruction when he speeds up, right? We get all angry, we get all flustered, our temper, we're very quick to anger, we're quick to make impulsive decisions and impulsive actions. And that's when, the danger and the violence of Mars can really get us. If we're rushing through something, we're trying to force something, or we're going too fast. I always think of like people that drive too fast. That's a Mars thing. Going above the speed limit is a Mars thing because Mars is fast, right? Mars, he wants to get from point A to point B. That's Aries energy, but it can be very dangerous. Be very, very dangerous, you know, as well. You subject yourself to the violence of Mars, the danger of Mars, right? Because Mars is a dangerous planet. Mars rules over all things dangerous, venomous creatures, carnivorous creatures, guns, knives, accidents, injury, blood, guts, fires, destruction, bombs. Those are all Mars things. Um, danger. Oh yeah, Mars is very. Oh yeah, Mars is very sexy. Yeah, that man is very very sexy. Mars is a very sexy man. Mars is a very sexy man. And my favorite Martian men are Aries man, honestly. And I think it's because my Mars is in Libra and I have Jupiter in Aries. But I just love me and Aries man. They are just so sexy to me. I love myself an Aries man, but they're nice to look at. They're nice to look at, and that's about it. You're gonna have fun with them for a week or two, and that's about it. Because Aries men are here for a good time, not for a long time. It really, an Aries man has to really like you to be tied down, to stay. And he has to have a chart that also lends to staying. And a lot of Aries men, especially if they have Sun, Venus, and Aries together, oh no, baby, you better run for the hills. Run for the hills. What happened? This looks different all of a sudden. What? That's crazy. So on Sunday, and then we're gonna wrap up here, I think. How long, how far are we? Oh, okay. Oh wow, we've been here for a while. Holy moly. We've been here for almost like 2 hours. Um, I still want to do a I still want to do maybe a tarot reading. She said I was in a chokehold by an Aries. I think Aries women, because women are connected to like Venus and the moon, like women are way more relationship prone. Women are way more relationship prone. Women, and the way I said relationship prone. Why did I choose those words? Relationship prone. Like you're prone to catching a relationship, like it's a disease, like it's an affliction, like it's an illness. The way that I said that. Women are way more relationship oriented. That was the right word. Okay. But men, yeah, men have their issues with Venus. And we could see it culturally today. Like men just are not in relationship with Venus at all. Like, the men that are in relationship with Venus, they look good, they smell good, they treat women right, they're in, good relationship with money. But the men that are just have a bad relationship with Venus, they have no money, they're broke. Okay. None of the women in their life like them. None of their exes like them. Their baby mamas don't like them. Okay. They don't treat women with fairness or respect. They have no sense of style. They don't take care of themselves. These are all indications that a man has a bad relationship with Venus. If he doesn't take care of himself, if he doesn't smell good, he's not investing, right? I'm not saying he doesn't look good, but he doesn't treat himself good. He's not trying to, you know, be the best that he can be. He's not putting the cologne on. He's not combing his hair. He's not brushing his teeth, right? Just those are all Venus things. Venus is the planet of attraction and beauty. And Venus, she captures our eyes in the moment that we meet her, whether it be a man or a woman. We see someone's Venus first, their style, what they're wearing, the way they look, their face. Taurus, Venus rules the face, right? You see someone's face. That's usually the first thing that you see, or the first thing that you pay attention to when Well, not all the time, right? Like, sometimes you notice other parts, but it's usually the face that will captivate you or the face that catches you. That's Venus, Taurus, right? And and you gotta invest in those things. It's very important to invest in your Venus, especially if you're someone that wants to build a following or you're on social media and stuff. People want something to look at, and they want something that is pleasing to the eyes. You don't got to be gorgeous or beautiful, but look at me. Like, I have an aesthetic going here. Look, I got the pink lights. Look, I actually have a light on me right now. So look at this light. You guys can see this light on me right here. Look at I have his light on me, right? Like, lighting, the aesthetic. That's Venus. People want something to look at, something nice to look at. So dress up, look good. Look up for the camera, baby. Say cheese, say hello. Throw a shoulder. Right? Venus. Venus attracts. You want to be magnetic, you want to attract people, you want to attract, a following, you want to attract a lover. Venus. Work on your Venus. Work on, and it's not just like your Venus, but just work on Venus in general. Work on cultivating a relationship with Venus, especially if you have a weak Venus, you know what I mean? And experiment with clothing, experiment with different scents. Try different. Venus rules Taurus, and Taurus is what? Our olfactory sense, our ability to smell. Taurus is the five senses. I love it when I could smell a man before I see a man. That's one of my favorite things. Like, I love when I'm like, who is that? And I'm looking and I'm following the trail of scent, and then and I'm like, wow, that man, not only does he look good, but he smells scrumptious. Like, I love when I can smell someone before I see them. I love it. I love when a man smells good. That's like, oh, that'll get me. There's a guy, like one of the first guys I was ever with, and he had a cologne, and I swear, like, this was like when I was like 19. Whenever I smell that cologne out in the wild, it always brings me back to this guy. And there's been like throughout the years, there's been times where I've been out in the world, and I smell and I get that scent in the wild, and it always brings me back to him. Yeah, wear pink on Fridays, make rose water, spray it on the face. Yes, yes, these are all Venus tricks. These are all Venus things. Yes, yes, yes. People are nicer when you have makeup on. The skin is giving with the light. I know my skin's actually not looking that great right now, but it's just the light, and it's the fact that I'm like sweating a little bit because I'm dealing with this. It's actually awesome because I have, there's no pain right now. But it's weird. It's like there's no pain, but I still feel like this like tenderness in the side of my head, from the tooth, the tooth pain and all that. But okay, let's finish this up, and then I'll come back and I'll do some tarot, okay, for the week ahead. Probably won't be here that long though, because it's already like gonna be 7 o'clock. So I'll probably be here for like 30, 45 minutes with the tarot. But let's wrap this up, okay, the astrology. So we wrap up on Sunday with the moon in Gemini, and then we're going into our new moon in Gemini, which is gonna be on Monday. So we do have a really nice new moon in Gemini on Monday. It's not really doing much. The only thing I'm looking at on Sunday is the moon with Uranus, the moon trine Pluto. So that aspect, which I say on repeat at this point, is about revolution. It's about mass gatherings. It's about community. It's about friendship. It's about, people taking to the streets and protesting. So don't be surprised if there's a protest on Sunday that you get caught up in or that, you notice. We also may see some technological advancements. This can also be about hanging out with friends, extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins. The moon's in Gemini with Uranus. You can also meet a stranger on Sunday. Be open to meeting strangers on Sunday. You can make a really good, a cool new friend. It's the moon trine Pluto, moon conjunct Uranus. We may see some shocking news on the media. Moon Uranus can sometimes bring, sudden shifts and changes with plans, broken objects or devices. You are departing from the moon on Sunday, moon Uranus, you're taking a spaceship, you're in a helicopter, you're in a plane, you're leaving somewhere on Sunday, moon Uranus, you're on a boat, Uranus. Uranus rules like big electronic or big technical or big mechanical objects. So things like tractors and trains and boats and airplanes, those are all Uranus. Those are all ruled by Uranus. So sometimes with the moon Uranus transit, we will be on a helicopter, we'll be in a train, we'll be in transit. Especially, come on, it's Gemini, right? Gemini, we're in transit. We're in the neighborhood. We're walking around. We're going on vacation. We're traveling somewhere. So that may be a Sunday thing, okay? But the moon Uranus will be squaring the nodes, okay? The moon Uranus conjunction on Sunday will square the nodes, and this will also be directly opposite the full moon in Sag that we had. So this is also cadent energy, or not cadent energy. It's also it's the waning phase of the moon, which is called the. It starts with the D. Starts with the D. It starts with the D. Oh, my brain is farting. Can you guys smell it? I gotta look up phases of the moon because I done forgot it. Anybody know what I'm talking about? What word I'm trying? Give me the word. Give me the word. Give me the word. Why am I not seeing it here? Balsamic. Balsamic moon phase. So the balsamic moon phase is the one that prepares us for the new moon. So with the moon in Gemini squaring the nodes, it being in its balsamic phase, which is about endings and closure, okay, before the new moon. Um, be mindful of this on Sunday. Balsamic vinegar, yes. But there could be some endings or some closure, some release. We had a full moon in Sag. Full moons, they bring things to completion and culmination. They finish things out, right? They end things or they complete things. And so I just want you guys to be mindful of that on Sunday. Moon with Uranus squaring the node, especially if you're a mutable sign. If you're a Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, Sag, and there's been an eclipse thing you've been going through in your life. Sunday could be a very important day for you. It could be a day of decisions. It could be a day of pivots. It could be a day of, this came to an end or this is done with, and what's the next journey? What's the next chapter? Where am I going next? So just be mindful of that, okay, on Sunday. The moon in Gemini. But the moon in Gemini is generally going to be very chatty. It's going to be very intellectual. And then we have our new moon in Gemini. So we'll talk about the new moon in Gemini more than likely on Sunday. So that's probably what I'll do when the moon goes into Gemini. I'll probably talk about the new moon. We'll go over the new moon. It's not a busy new moon. It's not doing much. It's not really aspecting anything. Yeah, Mercury is just separating from a square with Saturn. That's about it. Okay, I think this is where we're gonna end this. So I'll see you guys back here. For those of you that are gonna come back for the tarot, we're gonna do some tarot. I'm gonna tap into the energies and give you guys some guidance for the week with the tarot. So I'll see you guys back here in like 5 minutes. I'm gonna take a restroom break. I'm gonna go get some refill my water. Maybe no, not get a snack. I was thinking about maybe getting a snack, but no. I'm not gonna get a snack because it's gonna mess up my mouth. So no, thank you. I have these super addictive pretzels. Oh my god, they're so addictive. I think the flavor is called Maui Wow. Have you guys ever had the pretzels on Alaska Airlines? They serve like seasoned pretzels. They're like braided pretzels, and they're made by like a mother daughter company. You guys know the pretzels I'm talking about? I think this flavor is called Maui Wowie, or it's called Maui something. I know I'm not gonna eat them, but they're so addictive. Oh, they're so good. Oh, it's like they have a Maui onion flavor. It's like a Maui onion. Oh, they're so good. But I'll see you guys back here in a couple minutes. We're gonna do some tarot, and I'll probably pull an oracle card. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how I'm feeling. But I'll see you guys back here in like 5 minutes. Okay, for those of you that want to tap into the tarot. All right. Oh yeah, I'll show you guys the package. Yeah, I'll show you guys the package when I come back. Yeah. Okay, I'll see you guys back here. Bye.